Some parts of the Eastern Cape have experienced snowfall in November. According to the South African Weather Service, disruptive snowfall could result in cold and wet conditions across the province. For more on this, we're joined by Stellenbosch University School for Climate Studies Acting Director, Professor Guy Midgley. Good evening, Professor. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Professor, many have been left quite confused as to how parts of the Eastern Cape can be experiencing snow in summer. Is this a common phenomenon?
No, it's far from common. It's very rare. In fact, the last time something like this happened was, as I understand, about 85 years ago. So it's an extremely rare event. It's the first time it's happened since I've been on the planet, that's for sure.
And then what can we attribute it to?
Well, it seems to be attributed to a cut-off low condition, a very cold night the previous evening, and presumably humidity in the air, and that combination of factors led to snowfall. So these cut-off lows appear to be the triggering factor, and we don't understand them very well.
But the cut-off lows are becoming quite a common occurrence of late. Can this then be attributed to global warming?
Well, it's possible. The problem that we have is that South Africa doesn't have a climate research strategy in place, and we've spent so much effort on predicting the long-term changes in climate that we've taken our eye off the ball on predicting these seasonal and decadal trends. So, yeah, we're a bit exposed in a way. Yeah.
And it seems to be quite the criticism just across Southern Africa that we lack the research capabilities when it comes to these type of weather patterns. Is South Africa, perhaps if we had to isolate it from the region, are we any better insofar as attempting to have these research capabilities to ensure that we even have infrastructure that can withstand this kind of erratic kind of weather condition?
No, I think we have more than enough research capability. We have capacity, we have the instrumentation. It's really, as I say, we've taken our eye off the ball strategically, focused too much on the long term and not enough on the medium term. So that's exposed a gap in our armor.
And then while now the Eastern Cape is experiencing this very cold weather, here in Gauteng, we are in the grip of a heat wave with maximum temperatures around 30 degrees. I mean, that on its own, when you've just got the stark contrast, what exactly does that even mean?
It's very unusual. And again, it exposes our vulnerability to these short-term extreme events. Look, it's more than likely that these sorts of extremes are a result of global warming. But we can say that, but we can't say with a huge degree of certainty exactly how it's all working. And this is due, as I say, to our lack of focus on these, on understanding these short-term fluctuations in weather rather than long-term effects of climate change.
So what would government have to do now? Do they have to invest resources for the short-term type of research where they're mostly focused on these short-term weather events?
Well, I think the scientific community is ready to help government to plan out and develop a strategy and implement the capacity that we already have. I don't think it would take a particularly long time, maybe a few months, to work something out and to figure out how to invest where investment is needed. I'm not sure that it would take a huge amount, but we need to do this quite urgently because we are facing these sorts of extreme events more and more often. And we have to get ready to be able to withstand them.
Do you find that there's no appetite to collaborate with academia in this respect?
No, not at all. I think the climate community has a fairly short route into government. It's just that the focus internationally is very much on the long-term effects of climate change. And also the focus in the international is not on Africa. Africa gets less than 3% of the global investment in climate science. Less than 3% goes to African scientists. That is an extraordinarily paltry number. And it's part of the reason why we're so vulnerable is African countries have to invest their own resources.
And I suppose that is the big debate now across the globe, that Africa needs to be assisted to respond to these erratic weather patterns. Professor, thank you very much for joining us on the program. That's Stellenbosch University School for Climate Studies Acting Director, Professor Guy Midgley.